I have to admit, I am so excited to explore this deck list and just finally seeing an off-meta quote-unquote deck actually winning a tournament. So William LaHaye, I think I'm pronouncing that right, just won the Canadian Regional Championship, and he did it with mono white with 8 Field of Ruin as land destruction to try to punish all the Greed Lords. And this is a strategy that I was thinking about first when the set was first announced, because I knew people would be moving towards fast lands and stuff like that, but I never actually ended up building it at all. And it makes so much sense that it would be in mono white. And I think most people's idea would have been to do exactly that. But nobody has been able to bring this kind of strategy to the success that William did in that tournament, where, I'm sure beating up on Grixis and Esper Legends was something else with the completely punishing their mana. Those are decks that are going to struggle a lot from getting mana screwed due to you just strictly destroying their land, because they are decks that require on haymakers or a specific curve to kind of take over. And if you can take that away from them, you'll be the one that can kind of slow down the pace of the game. And with the amount of value that's in mono white, you will be able to turn the corner and take over. Now, the question is, can you get there in time? And especially against decks that maybe are playing one basic, can you find enough Field of Ruins to actually make it worthwhile, other than just, playing a bunch of planes and playing Roadside Reliquary ×4? But I feel like this deck makes a lot of sense in a tournament setting. I feel like it makes a lot of sense because that's the setting where you want to punish people the most. It would be most effective, I think, in a tournament setting. But it probably is pretty effective on ladder as well, because there are a lot of Greed Lords. And actually, in a tournament setting, maybe some people would respect Field of Ruin by playing like one basic. But I think people would just not expect anybody to be running Field of Ruin in a tournament, which is usually an environment where you want to make your deck. I don't know how to say this, but you want to make your deck as powerful as possible against what you might expect the field to bring. So you don't really have usually the leeway to kind of bring in, one or two basics. You would say, okay, no, like there might be like one Field of Ruin player in the tournament, but if I don't face them, why would I play basics? That would be the general thinking, because you need to make your deck as powerful as possible, right, to be able to win the entire tournament. And this is where this comes in. But now the problem is, once this deck wins a single time, now people are going to start respecting it. So it's like a one-time thing, and I'm happy it worked out because this deck looks amazing. Now you'll see the general, core cards of mono white. We see the lay. We see 0 ossification in the main deck, and that is something a little bit different, or if not completely different, something that we basically don't see at all. And the reason for that is something I talked about in one of my earlier mono white videos when I covered the deck, was that I also ended up cutting ossification in the main deck because I wanted to play Farewell, and it seems like you can only really play one or the other in the main deck. So ossification is in the sideboard. I think it's only 2 though. Yeah, it's only 2. But the trade-off is that you get access to Farewell, and it's a lot less punishing to name enchantments, which is something you do want to name in this metagame, since there are a lot of really good enchantments. So it's kind of a risk reward that you pick depending on what matchups you're expecting to face. And I like that. I like that a lot. The ossification is still on the board for like aggro decks, but in the main deck, you're more so leaning towards Destroy Evil, which is more of like a mid-range counter. So it's more of a card that's going to be better against mid-range than ossification. Although ossification probably a little bit better against Grixis, since you can sack it to invoke Despair, and that's pretty good. We've got the Cathar Commandos. That is also a card that sees play, but maybe not as much as you'd want to see it see play, because the card is actually really good. It's fantastic to have a flash 3/1. It's really good against control decks, really good against Grixis. It's really good against aggro decks because it acts kind of like as a removal. So for example, against mono red, usually you play your 2-drop, they might have some mana up, they kill it, except they can't do that with Cathar Commando because you can use it on their turn, and then they have to spend their mana on their turn to remove it to secure their creatures attacking through. So it's a lot better tempo wise than some other creatures, like another a copy of Spirited Companion and stuff like that. So we've got 24 lands. Again, I feel the one thing that's surprising me the most about these paper tournaments is the amount of lands that they're playing. Because on Arena, I feel like this would not work. Like, it's kind of a similar situation to the Grixis deck, where I see 25, I'm like, sometimes I'm playing 28 and it feels like it's not enough. But in mono white, I would say, 25, 26, you're in that range. I would say with no farmhand, 3 Gandro, 25 at least. But 24 is fine if you, because also keep in mind you're going to be demolition fielding your opponent, which means you're also filtering your lands out of your deck, so you have less chance of finding a land as well. So if you're taking that into account, I would say probably 26. But again, see, the greed seems to be working in paper tournaments, and that's always a good thing to see, I guess, because it means that people are not getting non-gamed as much as they are on arena potentially, where the games seem to be progressing as they normally should. I'm not even sure. I have not played paper, so. But yeah, either way, let's keep moving on. We got 4 Bankbusters. That's like a classic in mono white at this point. 2 Spirited Companions. So this might be a little bit unconventional, because usually you see either 4 companions, a few farm hands, or multiple combinations of both cards, but at least four to 6 copies, I would say, is the average. But here we're only seeing 2. And I kind of like it, because you want to curve out more powerful things than just a 1/1. Sure, it's pretty good with a Ganjo, but I feel like just curving out better cards, like Cathar Commando, is more important. But then again, with the lack of overall lands, maybe you would want a few farm hands to help you find your planes, but it looked like it worked out, so I don't think that's a really big deal to have, like, only 2 companions. Anyways, we got 2 Lorans. That's like a classic in mono white. Can't really dodge this card. It's just so broken to have enter the battlefield, destroy artifact or enchantment on a good body with vigilance, with the opportunity to draw cards. It is strictly insane. It is so good. Loran is such a good card. 3 restoration, it's like a classic. Some choose to not play it, some choose to play it. I feel like this card is definitely not like super powerful, but it's a really solid card. But it's not like overpowered that every mono whitelist is going to be playing it. I feel like sometimes it's a little bit slow on the draw, especially against legends. It takes time to get the body, so you're not necessarily getting any blockers. It's more of like a setup. It's a card advantage kind of card, but for 3, it's barely in range in terms of tempo. Like it comes down early enough that it's okay to take that loss of board presence for potential advantage later down the line. But it's definitely a little bit risky depending on if you win your coin flips or play draw. Wedding Announcement, that's a classic. I don't need to talk about. Sarah Paragon, a card I've seen a lot of play in mono white. I think this card is really, really good, especially with Ossification. But since we only have 2 and they're in the sideboard, I understand only playing 2 Paragons. The card is really good, but yeah, you don't want to play more than 2, I think, in this list specifically. But it's still a fantastic spell to be able to grab whatever 3 CMC or less permanent from your graveyard and cast it once every turn. Once on each of your turn, you get to cast one of them. And then when it dies, you exile that card and you gain 2 life. So it's a bit of life gain as well against Grixis, for example. It's pretty good. For Wandering Emperor, I feel like this is kind of a staple now. You really, really, really need that life gain, especially with mono red running around in the format. And the board presence with Wedding Announcement is fantastic. The combat trick is fantastic. The card is just fantastic. And there's not much. I mean, this is not like a revelation or anything. It's worth playing for Wandering Emperor, no doubt. Elspeth, a little bit unconventional, I think, especially in a build with less actual creatures, quote unquote. Although it is fantastic with the restoration because it lines up pretty damn well. I feel like Elspeth's always kind of a safe pick in terms of planeswalkers. All the white planeswalkers seem to be really good, so playing 1 Elspeth is totally within reason. I think it's totally fine. 2 Sanctuary Warden. This card's fantastic. It has incredible synergy with planeswalkers since you can remove the counters from those planeswalkers. You draw a card, you make a 1/1, or you can remove the shield counter from itself if you got nothing else going on. You get a 1/1, you draw a card. It's a lot of board presence. It's decent card advantage. Great flyer. A lot of pressure on your opponent, facing down a 4-turn clock potentially if you've dealt no damage, which depends on the matchup. Usually it's either, well, usually you won't be dealing that much damage in mono white earlier, so. But it definitely starts the clock, and it's a really good creature to dodge a bunch of removal spells with the shield counters. 2 Eternal Wanderers, something maybe a little bit unconventional, because again, this deck with a low land count, having a lot of 6-drops can be a little bit risky. You don't really have that many ways of finding your land drops either, and you're going to be taking out some planes from the deck. So I feel like there's a lot of 6-drops in this deck, but it seemed to be working. So yeah, 2 Eternal Wanderer. I mean, this is one of my favorite planeswalkers. It is my favorite planeswalker from the new set, and I think it's fantastic. It is overperformed every single time I've seen it hit the board, whether that be for the -4 as a pseudo sweeper, the create a 2/2, which is just incredible board presence and really high pressure in certain situations. And the exile +1 has been incredibly relevant, incredibly flexible. You can flicker your own stuff. You can ultra flicker their things by completely removing it until the end of their turn, so they can't even attack with it. That's just fantastic. It's such a good card for 6 mana. It has so much value baked in. The static is not super relevant, but you know, it's better to have a static than not have it, so it's all upside from there. The card is already insane, so I like it. The 2 farewells, obviously, I talked about earlier. It's a really good card. I don't necessarily know if I would play Ossification. I think I would play Ossification over farewell in this metagame. I feel like Grixis and Esper are the 2 best decks in the metagame, possibly. And for those decks, I would probably rather have Ossification since you need to stabilize the early game. But I don't know. Farewell is always like a fantastic spell to have in the deck, so I can't really say much about it. But I don't know which version I would choose to play. I probably end up swapping them and putting these in the board for like other matchups potentially. Then there's the mana base, which we talked about earlier. Sideboard's got 2 Fateful Absence, which is kind of necessary, especially against other planeswalkers. You don't really have ways to kill planeswalkers efficiently. Ossification, definitely not a great way to do that. Most planeswalker decks will have access to enchantment removal, so they'll get their planeswalker back, and then you're in the same situation. Mono White notoriously has a problems dealing with planeswalkers. So Fateful Absence, very good. It's also instant. It's good against aggro decks too. Another Loran, that's a classic. 2 Depop, classic. Another Elspeth. Why not? I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the second one. I feel like it's a little bit difficult to use in this deck. There's not that many actual creatures that are good with +1 with the plus effect. But you know, it's still a good card, so why not? The 2 Ossifications I talked about earlier, and probably the biggest surprise to me is krowz Hive, which has seen almost no play in mono white, I think. From what I've seen, the more competitive lists do not play it. This is definitely for like control matchups, but again, the reason nobody's playing it is because there are no control decks really. But mono white definitely struggles against control, so I kind of understand respecting it, but I don't even know if they faced a single control deck, and in that case, these sideboard slots might have been better off being like Ossification or something around those lines. But why not? You won the tournament, so it was a good tech for a potential bad matchup, so why not? Sunset Revelry is pretty good. I think the problem is, for me, Sunset Revelry has started to take a backseat to the 4 damage. Was it deal 4? Against mono red, usually I would tend to prioritize Knockout Blow over Sunset Revelry, just because Raiju is such a huge problem now that having removal for that thing is so important, especially with the rise of the, you know, there's a bunch of chicks, there's a few flyers, there's Devastator as well, and mono white does not really have great flying blockers until at least turn 4, so, and even then you only have 2. So I would usually tend to, you have good board presence, grounded, right? So usually you can take care of the grounded creatures. I don't know if you need even more grounded creatures. You're not going to be getting the draw off of this. So you're getting 4 life, you're getting 2/1/1s. It's good for chump blocking, but you know, Raiju kind of deals damage through chump block. So I don't know. They're both really good against mono red, but personally, I'm leaning more towards the Knockout Blow as being something a little bit more impactful when it comes to even mana efficiency itself, right? 1 mana versus 2 mana. And 2 Unlicensed Hearse, that's like a classic. So yeah, either way, I feel like this deck is really solid. I mean, mono white's always been solid, and as long as you dodge Atraxa, you're in a really good spot. Now the problem is mono white is almost an insta loss against Atraxa, unfortunately. So that's why most people don't choose to bring the deck to tournaments, or you know, don't even play it that much on ladder. Is that, you know, if you end up facing an Atraxa deck, suddenly you have such a low win percentage against that it is definitely a huge hit to the deck's viability. So that's the one major downside. But yeah, I mean, I updated the deck standard deck tier list on Patreon as well. So if you want to see my standard rankings, you can head on over there. But anyways, let's just jump into a match here and see how it does on ladder. I hope we hit a deck that has no basics. That would be wonderful. All right, I'll keep 4 lands. This deck has a low land count, so I'm comfortable keeping this amount of lands. Let's hope it's like Grixis or Esper. And it's mono whites. Well, I think we have a decent matchup against mono white. I don't think it's great. I wish we had something else in the mirror, but it is what it is. You can't choose your matchups. But having Farewell is a massive advantage in the mirror, so they're going to have Ossification, I'm going to have Farewell, and I do have a bunch of Planeswalkers, so this deck is definitely really well built for the mirror match. The problem is I do need to find those cards. You need to find cards like Bankbuster as well. That would be nice. Ooh. Interesting. Looks like it's a more aggressive build. And this card is a nightmare to deal with. Dodges Wandering Emperor, dodges Destroy Evil. The only thing I can realistically hit it with would be Lay Down. That is not a card that's in my sight right now, so I guess we're gonna have to wait. Also, the Field of Ruins are really not very useful in this matchup. But hey. I do think the deck, if I look at it objectively, I see a lot of things that are a huge advantage in this matchup. A lot of Planeswalkers, 2 Sanctuary Wardens. The Bankbuster is really good as well. So I'm going to be utilizing Bankbuster now. I'm going to be taking a decent amount of damage though. Peacekeeper is really annoying. But I'm happy to see it over a more traditional controlling build, because that means they're running a more creature-centric strategy. And that's going to be pretty good for me. I wonder what their plan is. They did run out quite a bit of things. I think I'm just going to pass here. The reason I'm not going to play this is that I feel like I might have to block to save myself some HP potentially. But for now, I won't. I think I'm going to use my life as a resource, but I don't want to develop this in case they also develop something. I think they have Wandering Emperor. That would be a little bit annoying. But not that much I can do. Okay, good. Oh, Mirex is going to be very annoying. And that is also annoying. Oh yeah, no Mirex in this list either. Okay, so the trade-off of Demolition Field is 0 copies of Mirex, as well as only 2 copies of Roadside Reliquary. So that's a decent downside, I would say. Definitely a decent downside. Taking away my Bankbuster. Leave up Wandering Emperor. Eventually get the block on this. Mirror matches are... I can't believe I hit a mono white mirror. I have not faced mono white in so long. And then the first match they queue with is a mono white mirror. That's crazy. Okay. At least it might go a little bit faster because I found the Wandering Emperor. If they had a Wandering Emperor, I would have lost. But that's the power of Wandering Emperors. When you're ahead, you don't have to generate. You don't have to generate any more board presence. You just pass. You hold up Wandering Emperor. They sweep your board. You play Wandering Emperor. Suddenly your board's like back in action. All right, but we do have a good side. But the second Elspeth is actually relevant in this matchup, which is interesting. I didn't think we would see any use for this, but this is one of the only matchups where I'd be happy playing it. Maybe against mono red too. But the Hearst main deck too. Wow, that's something, huh? I will play Depop against them because I feel like they're the more aggressive deck. They're playing Peacekeepers. Those need to be kept in check as well. Interesting though. How do I sideboard? Like everything is good in the mirror. I don't want to touch these. I'm leaning towards cutting the Paragon. I don't think it's... No, I shouldn't. I should definitely cut at least one ramper. It can be clunky when you're holding a lot. Since they're hard to remove. I do think Wedding Announcement is not great, but it's not a card that I would necessarily cut either. Restoration is also not something I'm too excited about. I kind of like everything except for... Wait, what's the worst card here? I don't actually know. I think it's Wedding. This deck's so stacked in the mirror. It's kind of crazy. 3 Laurent, there's no way I'm cutting this. So the off limits, we have this. I think the Bankbuster's off limits. It's probably Companion, right? Yeah, actually, that's gotta be it. I don't see any reason to play 2 Companion in this matchup. Okay, never mind. That wasn't too hard, actually. It has to be that. That's the lowest impact spell I have in my entire deck. Oh god. This is not great. Very slow hand. And they kept. I don't know if I can keep this. I can say that it could work, but it also just loses to Peacekeeper. Too expensive, I think. I mean, this is also not great. Also, the amount of colorless lands in this deck is going to be a problem for Lei. Especially because I will not be able to convert them into actual planes. Definitely a problem. So this deck has a lot of cards for the mirror, but the mana base is definitely not built for the mirror match. So that's something. Okay, Wedding Announcement actually not bad here since they didn't develop a 2-drop or a 3-drop. Now it feels like I have the proactive proactive plays instead of them. We'll be able to get rid of that. Yeah, I'm the proactive player now when I should have been the reactive player from being on the draw. Looks like they're gonna destroy that. That's a little bit unfortunate. But it's not too bad. We'll be getting rid of that. The frustration of having to deal with the mana base is a tough one. Field of Ruin just being kind of a dead land completely is mildly frustrating, to say the least. Yeah, I shouldn't attack here into Wandering Emperor. It doesn't make any sense at all. And it has to be Wandering Emperor. I don't see any other card that it could possibly be. Alright, got the flip. They get some board. Get my Bankbuster down, finally. Oh yeah, the reason I wasn't playing Bankbuster, if it wasn't obvious, was to play around Laurent. Although if they had it, I feel like they would have used it on announcement, but you know, it's hard to predict sometimes how people play the game. Ouch. That is possibly worst case scenario. That's definitely worst case scenario. Farewell is such a busted card in this matchup. Planeswalker advantage. It's a tough one. Planeswalker advantage.
I've got new moves to teach you.
I ended up taking too much time. And now they've reversed it on me. Yeah, not having any proactive plays really put me in a bad spot. Marek's advantage, yeah. It's the mana base difference is really starting to be felt here. Yeah, this is game over. Okay. Yeah, it is a I hate mono white mirrors. It's literally who draws better. I hate it so much. It is very frustrating to play. Hmm. I don't really think there's a reason to play Ossification. Ugh, that's tough. Alright, on the play, I'll probably just play it like this. A little bit more proactive. Ah, this is probably one of my least favorite mirror matches in a long time. I've played a few of them. That's one of the main reasons I actually never pushed mono white any harder than it has already been pushed, because you can face Atraxa and that's miserable, but the mirror match is something else. The mirror match is a different beast. This is not why this is not what I want to do in the game. This is not what I want to spend my time on. Okay, hopefully the sideboard a little bit quickly, get this over with. Cue into something else. See if I can draw something a little bit proactive here. Aha! Yeah, I'm sure this wouldn't happen on paper, but that's what I mean when I say we should play more lands. Ugh. I can't mulligan to 5. I can't. So I guess we're banking on Eternal Wanderer. No, we're banking on top decks at this point. But yeah, if they draw better than me, they will win. If I draw better than them, I will win. That's just how this matchup goes. There's no real playing around anything. That's going to be annoying unless I find something. I did not. A lot of reactive spells, no card draw, no permanence. They're finding all the proactive plays. Gonna get a draw next turn. Yeah, essentially, I'm on the same. Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same position that they were last game, where it's kind of farewell or lose the game. I've not found a single proactive spell. It's unfortunate. What can you really do, though? Not much. Well, this is the only play I realistically have, so it's the play we're gonna make.
If you can.
And is it plus or I think it's got to be plus because or do I want them to use a lay? Essentially the same amount of damage. They don't have Wandering Empress, so I'm gonna make the double striker. Make them use a lay if they have one. This can only take so the static is actually relevant in the mirror match. It's pretty much the only situation where it is relevant. For the most part. Usually you're gonna end up minusing and stuff like that. Okay. Well, that's fine. That's actually very good for me. Happy to see that. So I don't want to see a lay. Okay. So I guess they have no interaction. So they found a very proactive hand with zero interaction, so they would lose the wander. Okay then, whatever. I'm happy it didn't go like super long, because usually these mirror matches can go the full timer. Alright, final chance to find a deck with the non-monocolored mana base, please. Just want to show off the Field of Ruins, because it's funny that we hit possibly the worst matchup for it. Alright. No way, right? I can't make this up. Oh my... I can't make this up. I actually can't, right? I must be dreaming. How does this happen? I'm puzzled. Oh yeah, the reason I didn't lay this is because I had Laurent, but maybe I was supposed to play around them having stuff like that. I cannot believe I'm facing 2 mono white decks in a row. That is just something completely unbelievable. Yeah, I guess I'll lay that now. Don't really have anything else to do. I'll potentially draw. We'll see. Another scroll pipe, jeez. Well, is what it is, right? Can't do too much about that. But it's not a huge deal. At least they're stuck on 3. I'm developing. Eventually I'll hit a farewell or something. Or maybe I won't even need to bother dealing with that, really. Something I can't really attack into. They're worth drawing? I don't think so. They're kind of not in a great spot. Huh. I think I would tend to go for Wandering Emperor here. More mana efficient. Or actually, maybe I should have drawn Sorcery Speed. Well, I don't know. Well, that's interesting. Because now they won't be able to stop the crew potentially. If it does come to that.
I've learned much during my travels. Let me show you.
Probably won't crew. I think it's better for me to exile that, but I'm not. No, I'll make the blocker.
May your blade strike true.
All right, Laurent, you can go. It's okay. Oh my goodness. What is that? Alright, maybe I do need to draw. Well, let's draw here first. Fine. Oh, that is very solid. Very, very solid. Question is it time for it, or am I supposed to wait? Well, actually, it has to be time for it, right? Because graveyards? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, if I don't do this now, I will end up eating up my wedding announcements if I end up playing them, so it's probably not very smart to do that.
Guards, to me.
I'm happy it's not a traditional mono white, because that would have been another long haul. What the? Yeah, I should probably develop this. Gives me an extra mana. Probably worth it. This gives me access to the crew
We've got the edge in
on the
this.
Bankbuster. Ugh, I wish I could have shown on the Field of Ruins, but can't really choose my matchups. But trust me, on ladder you will be Stone... What is it? Stone Rain? Was that card called? Oh my god, what? You will be destroying some lands. Trust me on that one. I know you would be destroying some of my lands, because I certainly do not have any basics in my 3-color decks. Tell you that much.
Until next time, then.
Can't get anything back. That is not worth playing out. Draw a card first. That's good. I was looking for... I seriously doubt they're playing Farewell, but just in case, I will not develop this and hold the roadside up. Just in case. I have to like kind of respect it a little bit. I wish this deck had a Mirax. That's one of the things I miss most from this list to the other list, is that when you find yourself in a when you find yourself in a situation where you're X equals 4, I thought I was gonna sweep. Okay, 1 second. Let me think about this before. So yeah, I should pop that. You find yourself in a situation against a monocolored deck where the Field of Ruins are useless, and it feels incredibly bad to not have your utility lands and instead being like playing a worse, even worse than the planes, right? Like strictly worse than the planes. And that's a really tough pill to swallow, I think, in some matchups.
I'll make the most of the little time I thank you for your help.
Yeah. I'll make a bunch of tokens at this point. Go for the lethal next turn. This matchup should be very good though. So we hit another good matchup. Just hitting like dirtly mid-range deck, and we're playing the more controlling of the two, so pretty good advantage. Field of Ruin kind of useless, but we can't hit Mirex. Okay, that's not what I want to see. Or actually, maybe that's actually totally fine. I can just do that.
Kneel before the Emperor of
And then
Kandala.
this. And then this. And then pass. Get 2 3/3s. Okay, I can destroy that. In fact, I can destroy it with the commando. And then... Oh, I could have destroyed that too, whatever. Alright, the Wanderer can go. I'd rather deny them a draw. At this point, I'm too far ahead.
Time is up.
Well, I guess no. Actually, I could have done Cathar and then gotten it back. Never mind, that was misplay. I didn't have to do it. Yeah, I could have given them the draw, and this doesn't have a tap ability. It's just a sacrifice ability, so it would have been exactly the same. I actually did it in the worst order possible, but when you're too far ahead, it just doesn't really matter, thankfully. Get rid of that. All the life they've gained from the lay on. The lay of the land. I can draw here. Draw another card. Another Field of Ruin. Hey, maybe 24 lands is all you need. I don't know. I've not gotten mana screwed a single time, which is surprising. Weird, in my 28 land decks, I get mana screwed. But somehow I'm playing 24 and working. Alright. A lot of enchantments. But we've got good counterplay to that. We've got this. We have got these. Spirited Companion is whatever. Got Planeswalkers. Got Farewell. We've got Depop, which I think I will end up playing. Don't know if it should be 2 though. I'm not a huge fan of the companion. I think Elspeth is meh. I like these though. I like this. I think I'm okay with this right now as it stands. All right, let's go with this. Just go bigger, more interaction. But yeah, Mono White is a pretty chill deck to play, unless you're facing a bunch of mirrors. Some days you just get hit by the arena trickery. How? I feel like I have hand smoothing. It's ridiculous. I actually feel like I have hand smoothing with this deck. It's literally whitelisted. Pun intended. Alright, play an enchantment. That's gonna go. I want to be mana efficient here, so I'm going to just use that to develop this. This will definitely have a target eventually, from what I've seen. Well, if I had that in hand, it might have changed my play, though. Okay, interesting. I'll definitely go with the Wandering Emperor here. Wonder if they boarded in Farewell as well. Oof. Ooh, I don't like that.
Let's clean up this town.
Oh, I should have brought in Ossification. Well, maybe not. They're also running white, so they minused. Okay, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Now that has a shield counter on it too. That's gonna be a problem, huh?
Keep watch for intruders.
Ah, interesting. Oof, never mind. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait, yeah. Oh, no, and that now that's at 2, so actually now I can just do this and just do that. Okay, that was like actually a perfect situation. I thought they were plussing for sure, but they did not. We're getting 2 draws, a bunch of 3/3s, a 2/2. This game is in the bag, I think. Hopefully. Land Farewell. Be a little bit annoying, especially after a mana screw. Okay. That's not Farewell. Yeah, got a big Paragon. Not very useful, but it is a chunky flyer. Yeah, at this point, I'll take that for sure. Yep. Yeah. All right, one more land, and we are in business. Nope. Not in business. Oh, we're still kind of in business. But...
May your blade strike true.
Oh, Wandering Emperor? Oof. Really? Oh, just blocking? Interesting. Yeah, the Depop's not very good here. I was expecting to be behind at this point, but they're not just... They sideboarded very controlling for some reason. There's the land. We can do this. Pump this thing up. Get the attack going.
New moves to teach you.
Wandering Emperor. What could that be? Destroy Evil, sure. Oh, I should have... I feel like Destroy Evil on Festivity is better there. But, that's okay. Honestly, against Mono White, I'd rather take away the shield counter than the Wandering Emperor counter, but next turn I will take away the Wandering Emperor counter. Aha! Okay, they did have Farewell. Oh, man. How unfortunate. I'm stuck with a bunch of...
Let your blade do the talking.
So many sweepers. Damn, that's annoying too. What is happening? What is happening indeed? They dragged out the game for no reason. Now I have to play an extra 10 to 15 minutes. Feels bad, man.
Keep watch for intruders.
Feels bad. Another Annex entry. That's actually a good draw here. They're lengthening the game again. Keep going. Eventually, I'll find some other thing that's good. Damn, I can't believe I lost my... Okay, that's a good card. I wish it didn't tap like that, but... Uh-huh. Okay. Well, that's getting exiled. Well, didn't necessarily have to, but I think it's better to exile that in case they find the flyer thing that gives flying. I don't think I need to. I could have depopped. No, I didn't have the mana. Never mind. Never mind. Alright, we're in a good spot, right? I think. I hope.
we greet our enemies.
Nah. Let's go this. Yeah, same situation as last time. And is it time for speed? Probably not. I still need card advantage, I think. In case they find another farewell, I'd rather get the draw off that. There's no way they would find it, right? Actually, I should probably not take the shield counter away from that. The reason is that if they find a sweeper, then I would never be able to sweep on top of that. So actually, I should have definitely taken away the counter from Wandering Emperor, but it's marginal at this point, hopefully. All right. I hope you enjoyed this vid. That was a pretty unfortunate matchups, but it is what it is. Mono White's still good against random tier 3 decks, though, and you can build your deck for the mirror as well. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. If you enjoy my content and would like to help me keep making it, consider joining my Patreon, where you'll gain access to a bunch of bonus videos, written sideboard guides, metagame tier lists, so for standard best of 3, for example, ranking all the decks, some game theory guides, as well as deck building guides, and other services depending on the tier, of course. Thank you to all the lovely patrons that are already subscribed, and I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next one.